Lucky 11 and unlucky Buxton and Correa. The Twins are waiting to see how the dynamic duo are doing after their collision Thursday led to possible concussions for both. Here comes Zebby Matthews. How long is he staying? A lot of ground to cover, so look out and get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The best theme song in sports. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. That's your team. Someone else's team. It's yours. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who once knocked heads with Jerry Wojcik and caught a concussion. This was before I knew Scott Paddock or even Chris Paddock, but it's definitely something that didn't come in the middle of a Twins winning streak. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who's never got a concussion from his regular Friday haircut that we know of. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find more of our work at Access Twins and Zone Coverage. I'm not even going to say Puckett's Pond anymore. Oh, shoot, I just did. On the podcast this time, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. The Twins have won 11 in a row, but as they have done that, we wait to see how bad it is for Byron Buxton Carlos Correa after their mid-game collision in Baltimore. They've been in concussion protocols ever since. Carlos Correa isn't the only one possibly suffering from whiplash. Perhaps you too are after the Twins, for the second season in a row, have gone from under 500 to a double-digit winning streak. Stats nerds tell us it's never been done before like that until now in back-to-back seasons. Other Twins have been hurt in recent days, like Harrison Bader and Ty France. And while those seem to be classified as short-term, uncertainty remains because of the aforementioned Buxton and Correa owies. What has gotten into Chris Paddock? We might skip this one because I don't know. Zebby Matthews is back because Simeon Woods-Richardson made bad things happen. For how long will the Zeb Master be joining the Twins in the bigs? Will the Milwaukee Brewers walk away with Paul Molitors Cup? Is that what the trophy's called when the Twins play the Brewers? I don't know. Think about that while knowing this. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it, Brandon?
Game time. By the way, it's the Cirillo Clash.
Oh, you've thrown that monkey into the wrench. Dan Hayes of The Athletic has been wondering, what do we call the trophy that doesn't exist yet? The battle for between the Twins and the Brewers, when the interstate border clash. Paul Molitor, and now you're saying it doesn't even have to do anything with Paul Molitor.
The Midwest Molitor meeting matchup. That's the way to go. Like,
does Jeff Cirillo even know? Does the Twins fans even remember Jeff Cirillo on the Twins?
No, I think it was 2007. But
I mean, he's a Mariner mostly, and then possibly a Brewer or something else. But
good player, nice
Cirillo,
player.
Paul Molitor. What does it matter? So Brandon, I keep refreshing Twitter to see if there's any news yet on, no, there still isn't, on Buxton and Correa. It's my first, somebody made a joke. It probably was Greg Masterson.
Probably.
Who said, all right, you got me now. We talk about all the time bad things happening to baseball teams or whatever the complaint is. Too much platooning by the manager. It's not just Minnesota. This might just be just Minnesota.
That was great.
Where the Twins win 11 games in a row. And their two star players, the two best players, get whack like that and possibly get concussions. Do you feel like the world is against you?
Yeah, I wonder if there's a data point for the most collective projected WAR lost in a single play based on injury, because that would probably be pretty far up there. Granted, Correa hasn't hit, but defensively he's been doing a nice job. So between those two, the two you mentioned before, Bader and then France, who did get into the last game, but was kind of forced into it. And then even Willie Castro digging himself up on that slide. They have a full bench and at least another player worth of guys hurt. So if there's no player movement which we're going to be watching all day for today, that would certainly be a good sign. But at the same time, too, I'm just kind of waiting for, as we're sitting here, an email saying, hey, this player's on the way here and this player's on the way there. The Mickey Gasper Express, if I was to think of anybody who would be most likely coming up the Mick. You got Edouard Julien again with the possible rushing him back, which you don't want to do. Emmanuel Rodriguez.
No, Edouard Julien. Bring up Fitzgerald.
What about, the SS Fitzgerald? What if the F. Scott Fitzgerald? What about F. Scott Paddock? Would you bring up Emmanuel Rodriguez? That's another option to think about.
I would think about it. I would say that if he had a full spring training, yes.
Do you have a 60-day move to get McCusker on the 40-man roster? That's another option to think about. And if so, do the Twins want McCusker to DH? There's a lot of things in play here, and I feel confident that I'm not confident at all in guessing correctly what they're going to do.
No, it's tough to know. It is sort of amazing that they got out of Baltimore with a sweep, considering how close we were to having a pitcher have to go play a position.
I thought Bailey Ober at first base was going to be the play.
I think maybe the next thing would have been Vasquez at third somehow, and then move everybody around, and then you're at pitcher stage. So very thin, wafer thin line there.
I think Vasquez has played some third. If I remember correctly, I think Vasquez has played some third.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it. I think he did last year, or I remember it somehow. Maybe I just remember him taking on ground balls. I don't know. So it is kind of a weird time to be a Twins fan. They set a record according to OpStats. I think that's what it's called. Cody Christie retweeted it, and do I have it ready to go? Yes, I do. Last year, the Twins were 7-13, and then they won 12 straight. This year, the Twins were 13-20, and now they've won 10 straight. The Twins are the first team in MLB history to be below 500 and then reel off 10 straight wins 2 seasons in a row. So, we joke about how they were, making sort of a carbon copy of 2024. And Twins fans joke about, wow, how these things only happen to us. Well, hey, the truth is sometimes stranger than fiction. It's weird turnarounds. I don't understand why. I guess I understand why it takes them this long to kind of get into their groove, but I sort of wish they would at least start out a little more mediocre before they got sizzling hot. That would be nice for the standings.
Oh, man. Yeah, and it's funny. Actually, the Twins were – what'd you say, 13-13?
7-13.
7-13.
I got to go find it again.
And then they were
7-13.
They were 13,
they won 12 straight.
They were 13-17 at one point this year, so flip the numbers, but then they lost 3 straight to get to 13-20, and now they've won 11 straight. So lots of 7s and 3s, which I think Queens of the Stone Age once sang about.
Are you some kind of numerologist? What are you doing?
I'm thinking back to my old Guitar Hero days. It is funny. They say fashion is cyclical and all that. Maybe baseball is too. I don't know. It's a fun time to be rooting for Minnesota sports because the Lynx are starting their Western Conference title defense. The Wolves are in the Western Conference Finals, and the Twins are rolling. And it's also funny, too, that they're doing it like I mentioned this, but they not only won, but swept the Orioles. And a big part of it was home runs from Deshaun Kiersey Jr., Cody Clemens, and Christian Vasquez. That's when you know you're living good. You're getting high on the hog when you have some of your most least...
The guys down the bench.
Yeah, the least highly regarded guys on your offense are shouldering the load. The Orioles right now, watching them feels about as disappointing or as upsetting as watching the Twins a month ago. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody, not the least of which Orioles fans. But, man, something's got to change there, too.
Paddock made a funny joke about Clemens. Said, hey, the Orioles must not know who his father was because they were running on his arm in right field. Somebody has to write that down because that's going to be one of the quotes of the year. It's on the board. I don't know if it is the quote of the year, but we need to remember that. Paddock, what has gotten into Paddock? I don't know, but that's
please,
funny.
Please, my father
stuff.
was the Rocket. Call me Cody.
Sure. Hey, there is kind of slyly breaking news. Again, We thank Cody Christie again to the rescue. And I don't laugh because it's funny. It's just because it just happens to be Cody Christie 2 times in a row. 17 hours ago, Brandon, a guy named Jack Connolly, a former, what's CU? Creighton baseball. He says a former, I just lost it. Anyway, long story short, Ryan Fitzgerald is going to be called up, according to Jack Connolly's sources. I'm not sure who Jack Connolly is, but he went undrafted in 2016. He's undrafted. That's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, according to this guy on Twitter, Ryan Fitzgerald is going to be called up from the Saints. So it's not going to be second baseman again, Edouard Julien. So this means that Correa is going to go on the injured list if this guy's right. So and I think
Luke Keishel could go on the 60, right? I mean, that wouldn't be that risky.
Yeah, they could not put
Michael Tonkin. They could put Tonkin on the 60.
Could they? But hasn't he pitched in games?
He just had a setback. They took him
off.
But
didn't he pitch in games for AAA on his rehab assignment? And does that doesn't void his 60?
No, because you can pitch. You pitch when you're on the IL anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think it's Tonkin and maybe even Keishel. Like that. So there are options here. Let's do this. We should come back and discuss that some more, but we should take our first break here quick.
All right.
And on our first break, we want to talk to you about Game Time, because there's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of the ballpark food. I was initially planning to go to this Brewers series. Who knows? They might have had me suit up with how things are going right now, but we ended up putting the kibosh on that. But I'll be honest with you, I was looking at tickets on Game Time because there's no better place to get a good deal on some great seats, and Game Time is making it easier than ever. They have last minute deals, all-in pricing. Again, I know I extol the virtues of all-in pricing all the time. You got to use it. Toggle it. That way you know from the beginning to the end of the transaction how much you're going to be spending. And they'll get you a lowest price guarantee too. Game Time will do that and take the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, as Game Time draws closer, and as Game Time split up, not Game Time one word like this place, but as the game draws nearer, you can score even better deals as the prices drop. This is also, there's a Game Time Picks feature, which makes finding the best deals effortless. It filters out the fluff and highlights the top discounts in the stadium. And you got to love that seat view before you buy. It gives you a panoramic seat view of the field, of the stage. If you're going to a show, you name it, they will take care of you in the best way imaginable. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Locked On Twins is back. Did I give enough space there, Brandon?
Yeah, you did good. You did real good.
Locked On Twins is back, and we have semi-breaking news. I don't know what if you call it that, but someone else has broken the news, but I'm talking about it now. A man named Jack Connolly, Jack Connolly is a play-by-play.
He was in the front seat of the Kennedy limousine.
No.
Oh, okay.
He looks like he's about 20 years old, but
so Mike, maybe is he the point guard for the Timberwolves?
No, he's not.
Okay, is he their president of basketball operations?
St. Edward's Hilltoppers, the Cowlitz Black Bears. Do you know who these people are?
No.
The Hilltop, the official student newspaper.
There's a bar in my town called Hilltop that Bob Dylan hangs out at, I heard. I don't know.
Oh, that's not uninteresting.
Yeah.
So 17 hours ago on Twitter, Jack Connolly said that Ryan Fitzgerald has been called up to the Twins from AAA St. Paul. Fitzgerald went undrafted in 2016, started his pro career in 17. He's 30 years old. Wow. I think he's from Hinsdale, Illinois. He started in his pro career in Gary, Indiana. They have a team called the Railcats, a south suburb of Chicago. And so Tyler Fitzgerald, according to people's sources, is coming up to the Twins, which he's a shortstop. He's a shortstop.
Ryan Fitzgerald, right?
What?
Ryan Fitzgerald.
Did I say Tyler? Oh, it's another
think
Tyler on the Twins. Sorry.
Tyler. No, it's Ryan, who looks like if you were to give Deshaun Kelsey Jr. Brandon Crawford's haircut.
That should be a promotion.
I love the flowy locks guys. Like, I wish I could do that.
Now, I don't know about. I've meant to look up his defense because at other times this year where I've wondered, well, the Twins could probably use. You wanted to get Jose Iglesias, let's say, on the active roster, or other times when we've been uncertain about, well, is Carlos Correa going to play tomorrow? Who's going to play shortstop? Lee has a bad back. What are they going to do? So this guy can hit a little bit, Ryan Fitzgerald. In his career, 7 years in the minors, he's turned 30 years old. Amazing story. 260, 341, 434 slugging.
Don't let him steal bases
and some caught stealing.
So don't let him steal bases. Holy
he tries
smokes.
to run. Yeah, don't let him do that.
No.
This year, he's got 4 caught stealings at AAA this year, but
3
for
steals.
St. Paul, and I think everybody's hitting for St. Paul, so take it with that grain of salt.
Yeah.
328, 426, 528. I don't know about his defense. I don't know.
Well,
you figure a guy hitting like that, if he was major league defensive quality, he'd be in the majors, but what do I know?
So, because
it looks like he's coming up for Carlos Correa, according to this one person on Twitter.
So last 2 years, he's got 5 errors at shortstop in something like 70 games, I think it is, or my math is real bad. 35 and 62 games. So again, errors being what they are, minor league fields being what they are, he's at least made as many plays as you would expect.
Yeah.
I'm thinking though, like he's protection at short behind Brooks Lee, because if they were only needing second base help, they would have just brought up Gasper. Like if they would have brought up somebody that could just hang out wherever, I think they're specifically targeting someone to help them at shortstop. And that's why it's Fitzgerald, even though he may not play that much, because honestly, Brooks Lee has been about as good as you could expect at short. Royce has been healthy. He can play third. And you still have Willie Castro, who I don't know if the fact that Brooks Lee's playing short over Willie, are we to make something of that?
Maybe. But Brooks Lee has shown himself in the small sample size.
He's pretty good
this year, spring training too, to be a capable shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
And Willie Castro, much less so in the last couple years. What?
Not so much. I was doing the Michael Scott, not so much, but I was whispering it.
Again, a show that I guess I need to see more of. Brooks Lee is definitely the backup shortstop.
Yeah.
I think that's for sure. I don't know what I don't know. Let's just do some dangerous speculation. Willie Castro, did he hurt himself for real on that slide yesterday? It was one of the 100 worst slides I've ever seen, by the way, that Willie Castro in the second base. It was terrible. I can't criticize him too much because when I was in Little League, I forgot how to slide for a couple weeks one year. And it was like, do I go now? It was a weird mental block kind of thing. So I can't come down too hard on Willie Castro.
I got a funny story about that too.
It was terrible. I really gave you the Reader's Digest version, but I totally forgot how to slide. And it looked like he forgot how to slide on that play. He's like, I'm just going to go in like an airplane here in the second base and roll on my shoulder. And it was like, Willie, have you not seen what else is going on today? Can you just try some feet first slides? Try that.
We had a tournament in the next town over, our biggest rival, Warroad, and we were in 7th or 8th grade, and it rained so much they put the bases in the grass, and I have no idea why you would ever do that, and we didn't question it. But I was going from first to second, and I knew that the ground was so swampy. I dropped down to slide about halfway between first and second and slid all the way into the base. It was like the coolest thing ever. It was like some kind of, I don't know, it would have made a great TikTok back in the late 90s, which didn't exist. But that's my only good sliding experience. Otherwise, I'm in the same boat as you. Do not slide if you're me or you, Dave.
So, but the bad news is it appears that I don't know if it's a whiplash situation or a concussion, or if that's the same thing or what with Carlos Correa, but it looks like he's going to go on the injured list. So that's not
concussion IL is good because there's only 7 days, right?
True. I think the only thing is a concussion is a brain injury, which is not anything you should wish on. I would almost rather it be whiplash, some kind of muscular deal. So it looked like the more you looked at the replay of Correa and Buxton running into each other, the worse it looked. If you look at it in slow motion, just the violent jerking of his head. Buxton stayed in the game for a little while, so I don't know. That's the other shoe on this. We don't know what's up with Buxton. It's possible they could be losing both of them, but it looks like they're losing Correa for sure. And that doesn't help things like, even if it's not a concussion, if it's just a regular non-brain injury, that's to be out for 7 days is not great because he's been behind on his timing or whatever for hitting, and he's been trying to get going there. That's another setback. That's another whatever for him. And of course, he's the guy in the middle of the field that makes everything go. So the Twins are they are not nearly as good without Correa playing short.
Well, and I thought I saw when he went to the ground, he kind of got all rigid, like the fencing response, but someone corrected me on that, and they're probably right. I'm only going based on very admittedly rudimentary understanding of concussions, which, to be fair, is pretty much all of us. But what confirmed my thought that he was probably concussed was when he went into the dugout, Nick Paparesta grabbed him by the belt loop area and steadied him down into the dugout. So that's where, to me, it was like, okay, I wasn't sure he had a concussion, and like the chin, who knows? The chin, you could just jack your jaw. You could have whiplash. Even Justin Morneau's collision at second base back in 2010 with John McDonald. Like, I've seen much worse collisions. Don't get ahead of yourself. Collisions not result in concussions, but sometimes it's the right amount of force in the right place at the wrong time. So that's why I was more along the lines of like, okay, did he do the rigid thing? And then when Paparesta steadied him, I was like, yeah, that definitely feels like a concussion. We still don't know. We still don't have any confirmation, but that's kind of why my brain went there,
so to speak.
Yeah.
That doesn't bringing up Morneau does not make me feel better. And then
his birthday yesterday.
I don't think about Morneau's concussion every day or Joe Mauer's.
Yeah.
But then the history that this organization has had in the last 15 years with concussions bothers me.
Denard Span had him bad too.
Right. We're going to take our second break here, and then we'll come back and we'll try and be a little more uplifting, maybe.
The NBA playoffs are in full swing. My Wolves are in the West Finals, and I know we have a big Game 7 coming up tomorrow night between the Nuggets and the Thunder, which will determine who the Wolves play. Very, very exciting. And if you want to get in on the action, FanDuel has never made it easier, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. Never, ever, ever has there been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game both before the tip-off and as the game is going. If you're itching for that action, you can get in with player props. Sounded like I had a cold there for a second. Player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays where you piece it together during the game. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you're looking for players who turn up in big moments like Anthony Edwards, or you want someone that's really starting to come around like Aaron Gordon, you have a lot of options. And you get a $200 bonus bet in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. So if you're new to FanDuel, again, you got to be new to FanDuel, but it's the perfect time to sign up as we head into the conference finals. Go to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if it hits, $200 is what you get in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Locked On Twins is back. Final segment for Friday morning.
Home stretch.
16th, 2025. Let's, we've been kind of talking about the dark possibilities with the Twins. What about the uplifting ones? SWR has been sent down to the minors, and Zebby Matthews is going to make that turn in the rotation. So he's going to be in. Jace Tingler, he's one of the people making the decisions right now, or at any time. He's always, since he's the bench coach, he's like, SWR is going to go down for a reset. 1 or 2 starts, he says. So 1 or 2 starts can easily turn into an entire summer.
Mm-hmm.
But so we can at least count on Zebby Matthews coming up for 1 or 2 turns in the rotation. It's not Festa this time. What do you make of that? Is it just because he hasn't had a chance yet?
It's a valid question. It kind of reminds me of the debate between Larnach and Kirilloff back in the day when they were both very similar prospects. And now I'm just sad about Kirilloff being retired. But
all right, we're keeping it chipper here, Jones.
Can we call him Zebby Matthewson if he really pitches well, like Christy Mathewson? And then we got Louis Varlander, like Justin
Zebby
Verlander.
doesn't. It's not like Zebby gives us any nickname possibilities. So let's just add more. Sure.
Yeah, it's perfect. I don't know because they were handling Festa interesting with extra time off too. Again, teams are going to do that just in general when they can. So I thought maybe that would be Festa as the call, but in the meantime, Cody Funder down under is going to help him in the bullpen, and then you get Zebby to Milwaukee. I mean, he may be there already, but they'll activate him in time for Sunday start and then off day on Monday, right?
Right.
I had a friend, a DM friend, a good friend Travis, asking me what I thought, and I said, honestly, I'm surprised, maybe teetering towards shocked, but not upset that the Twins did this with SWR. If they were in a spot where they were leading the division and you could maybe handle a few more starts of 4 2/3, 4 and no more, you could maybe navigate this a little better. But you've got Paddock, who you're not relying on too deep into games, although the last two have been an aberration. Who knows if they can become the actual rule. And the bullpen is not built to absorb a lot of innings over and over again. It's built to be a good bullpen, but you got to piece it together. And they, outside of letting Alcala pitch a couple innings, which they did over the weekend, these are a lot of 1-inning guys. And so I think it hurt SWR to have a bullpen like this behind him. And he's just not consistent enough right now. I think after that outing, his ERA is over 5. And again, you're chasing, you're not leading. And that's why you need to make decisions a little faster than you might otherwise.
The Twins, despite winning all these games and not being in first place or really close to it, because the Tigers have won not a commensurate amount. I think they've won 9 out of 11 or something like that. They're still in really good shape for the playoffs. It's like, well, either you have like one of the best records in the league or you're in the playoffs. There's really like 2 categories of postseason teams. So, I mean, maybe the Twins eventually will get to a point where they can compete for upper 90s in wins and maybe get a bye in the playoffs, that kind of thing. But other than that, are you in the playoffs? Are you not? They're in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So they're chasing to a degree, but they're not chasing everything. Still, we worry sometimes. I think that the bullpen is at the point, the relievers, Louis Varland, Duran, in terms of appearances, where they're kind of pushing the envelope as far as extrapolating over an entire season, thinking about how tired they might be in September or October. So it's a concern. And that's why SWR and starts like that are no good. And because it's as we've pointed out before, the starting pitching has been great, except mostly in the innings department. There's still not, it's not like you can say Lopez is going to go out and give you 7 or 8 every time. I mean, there aren't very many rotations that do that. If there were, again, like you said, maybe you could let SWR work it out a little bit longer. But Zebby is an opportunity to at least, pitch as long into games, but possibly put fewer runs on the board. And that's another way you can work around people in the bullpen, your high leverage guys. If Zebby comes in, pitches 5 innings, gives up 1 run instead of 3 or 4, that changes the dynamic of a game. That changes how Rocco or whoever, Rocco's been sick, I don't know. He caught the Bader disease. It changes how you use your bullpen. You can be more egalitarian, democratic, spread the love, whatever, and not rely so often on high leverage guys. So that's the key.
Yeah, more Topa, more Alcala, more Stewart right now.
Yeah, maybe a lot more Alcala, and maybe Alcala has somehow fixed himself. He
looked pretty good. I mean, all things considered in Baltimore, and Stewart's gonna get there, I think. And Topa is. There's been years where Topa, in his present form, would have been the best reliever on this team, and he's number 6 on the pecking order. Certainly not a bad thing if you're Rocco Baldelli / Jace Tingler and you're pointing out to the bullpen to get somebody. You're going to have someone come in that can get some outs.
We promised that we would talk a little bit more about this. Dan Hayes notes that when the Brewers and the Twins play each other, it is like the Paul Molitor Award is on the line because he's known for being with both organizations.
Yeah.
He's suggested like Molly's Cup. I suggest Paul Molitors Cup as a name for the award. So, and you suggesting Jeff Cirillo? That's a red herring.
That was in jest. Surely I jest.
It wasn't in jest. It was in jest.
Brian Harper, though, we could do something Brian Harper related. You could do like that big cell phone picture of him. You could get that bronze cell phone and the winner of the season series. And the weird dynamic is that they used to both be in the AL and now they're interleague. So like there's a lot of different factors. You know, Paul Molitor only played a few minutes for the Twins, but he's from Minnesota. He managed the Twins. Does that outweigh a bulk of your career with the Brewers, winning a World Series with the Blue Jays? Molitor's the angle here. I just don't know how you make that happen.
And it's tough to give an award and call it something like Molly, because isn't that a nickname for a drug that people shouldn't take?
I think it's MDMA, if I'm not mistaken. That's why there was a song, I Don't Pop Molly, I Rock Tom Ford. And I was trying to like change it into I Respect Molly, I Am Sam Fuld, because Sam Fuld played for the Twins for a little while in Molitor's era. That's where my brain goes when I'm bored, though. So
that's where your brain goes.
Yeah, it's not here.
All right. So, well, we didn't really resolve that, but we're going to resolve this show and tell you that we want to thank you a lot for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. For Brandon Warren, this is Dave Brown wishing all a very pleasant good evening, saying we will see you tomorrow night.